everyone.
This
is
sorry.
Don't worry.
This is Akila
And Susanna
from Wise Lily Rose.
Wise Lily Rose, exactly. So what are we going to talk about today, Akila? We're going to talk about debunking the myth around meditation.
Yes.
That's our topic today. And it's an interesting topic, and we're going to talk about our experiences with meditation. For example, your personal experience, and I'll talk about my journey with meditation. So, Akila, do you want to start or you want me to start?
Why don't you start, Sus? That would
Bismillah,
be awesome.
I'm going to start. I'll start.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
interesting enough, meditation for me is something that was I felt very associated with, for example, the practice of yoga and different belief systems, which is fine, but I never really understood nor got the idea about meditation. I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, you're breathing, you're getting this, whatever the case is. But as I'm going through this course with the Integrative Health Coach course, part of that course is talking about meditation. And also, even prior to that, there's talking about the concept of your nervous system. So what I figured out, and I wrote notes.
Lovely. I love notes.
So stress. Now I'll talk about this really quickly. Stress is something that, naturally our body, we talk about our nervous system. We have our sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. Yes. So when we're under stress, and we use the example of being chased by a bear or being chased by a tiger, though that's not happening at much, but you know what I mean. Today, the bear and the tiger is work. It's life. There's stress.
Absolutely.
And what our body does is it puts adrenaline. So we have adrenaline, that hormone that gets us going, gets our heart beating, stuff like that, raises our temperature, raises our blood pressure. Fair enough. Yes. However, here's the issue. The issue is that we continuously are moving through this stressful environment, and our body is continuously throwing out this adrenaline to protect itself, to be ready. But then what happens after some time, your body goes into, okay, it's ready for fight, flight, as we were talking about, Akila.
Yes.
Then you have fight, flight, and then you go into this exhaustion stage. And then you go into the whole breakdown. And there's a lot of people that are in that stage, or actually in the breakdown stage, but don't realize it. And this is something that happens with dealing with stress and not knowing how to cope with stress and not knowing the mechanisms to cope with stress. Does that make sense?
Yes, I hear you.
So when you look at it now and thinking about how do I get my body to go back to what's called the homeostasis, we'll go back to this point of rest and digest and relax. Yeah. Just come down to this relaxation stage. I'm not always running. I need to relax. So here's when it comes into meditation as part of it. I mean, there's other coping mechanisms. For example, there is things you could do for your creativity. There could be journaling, going for a walk.
Yes.
Different things. But when meditation comes in, meditation actually brings it where you move from that portion of your nervous system, the sympathetic portion, into the parasympathetic, and your body actually relaxes.
Yes.
So the bringing in the oxygen and the releasing of the CO2, that whole concept, and done properly, is what helps to relax the body. So benefits of meditation, I'll say it very quickly. Obviously, as I mentioned, decreasing stress. That's a big one.
That's
right?
Big. Yes.
Huge. Improving mental clarity and creativity. And the one that really stuck for me was I wrote it down here because it was so like reducing blood pressure.
Wow.
I'm like,
wow.
Really? So if I meditate, it's going to reduce my blood pressure. How many people are, and nothing against that, but they're just taking stuff to reduce their blood pressure, but not thinking about doing meditation, deep breathing, and different types just to get your body down.
It's free.
Just free.
You don't have to pay
Without
anything.
Without money. Other things it does, balances your hormone levels, which is another thing that people struggle with and don't realize that when your hormones are imbalanced, then, for example, weight loss and other things, sleep quality, that's affected, and reduces inflammation, which is something we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. And strengthens your immunity. So back into this whole thing about stress and the exhaustive stage of the body. So one thing, and when you get down to exhaustion and then breakdown point, your body starts, like your immune system starts to get weak. So you start getting sick, you start getting colds, flus, different things come in, infections, because you've totally run out of steam. And that's what it's like. And the analogy that I always talk about, Akila, you know, we said this, like you have an engine, you're running the engine and you're running it without oil, right? It'll run for a while. And then after a while, the engine is going to break down because it doesn't have the lubrication, doesn't have the oil. So we can think of meditation like lubrication, like the oil.
I love that. I love that imagery. And I also like, Suze, what you said about, you know, like it's a tool. It's one of the tools. So we can kind of think about it. And I'm thinking about my mom, who always talks about this backpack of education. Shout out to Yasmin.
Shout out, man.
But we can think about it as like a backpack of tools that we have. One of the tools to our general health is eating a good diet and sleeping well and all of these things. And another tool we can add to our backpack of rescue me or help me backpack is meditation, which you can just learn to do either by guided meditation, which we offer on our platform.
Right.
Or you can just train yourself to sit quietly in a safe, comfortable space and just follow your breath and be quiet and be still. So
that's a good point, Akila. That's excellent. And it's as I like the analogy about the backpack, the saving backpack.
Save me backpack. Because we're all going through a lot of stress like these days. You know, everyone's at different stages of their lives. And on top of that, we're experiencing a global pandemic, which has thrown everyone into unprecedented anxiety, stress, you know, I mean, just this looming cloud of I'm going to catch this COVID. It's enough to get you in fight flight chronically. And as you said, Suze, that like chronic fight flight increases cortisol, which increases inflammation and just gets you down this very dark road. But guess what? Meditation's gonna light the way. You don't have to stay. We don't have to stay in that dark place or dark road. There's so many things we can do to help ourselves.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And I mean, and thanks for bringing that up. I really, you know, I'm forgetting it because we're in it. We're in, you know, the pandemic, we're in that, and to realize, and the people we speak to and the people we work out with, they speak about it, where it's like, I'm so stressed, this thing is happening, it's how's it going to affect my lifestyle? And that's it, as you said, this fight, flight, constant thing that you're feeling, everyone's feeling it across the world. They're talking about stress-related sicknesses, they're talking about children and how they're dealing with it. So as you mentioned, meditation is free. And it's not difficult to do. And there is, you know, it's a way, as I said, there's different platforms. Of course, we are going to do it, but there are different platforms that you can use, and you can actually get it going. I mean, you and I know people that are experienced with it, and we know people who are inexperienced with it. I mean, I know people say, oh, that's rubbish, I'm not bothered with it.
This is a good segue, as you say, Suze. This is a good segue into our topic of when people sometimes feel like this is not for me, this is for Buddhists or Hindus, or you have to be in a mountain somewhere, or you have to be at some kind of in an ashram in India, you know. But the truth is, you actually don't need to be anyone but you. You can just be little old you, thinking, I want to be more calm, I want to be less anxious, I want to walk into my life with confidence and peace, which is all of our goals. We all want to be even keeled in our everyday life. And so now, sis Suze, we're mindful of the sis.
We're mindful of sis.
We were talking about, Suze, we were talking about why it could be easy for some people and more challenging for other people to start meditating. Right? And one of the things came up in our conversations about this was, why is it easier for some people to just kind of ease into it, just feel like, oh, this is great, and other people are like, I didn't know what to think, I didn't know where to put my focus. What's awareness? And what we discovered is that it's kind of an analogy is when you first start going to gym.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're a bit heavy and you have this goal, I want to be fit, I want to have muscles, I want to be ripped, and you walk into gym and everyone is looking like a pro. They're walking to gym and they look so good, and you come in.
We use another word, but we're going to say pro.
I'm trying to keep it PG. I'm really trying to keep it PG.
Exactly.
But you're looking at everyone else and you're thinking, why does it seem so effortless for them? The thing is, they were you at one point, the person just coming into the gym, enjoying donuts and all of those nice, delicious foods, and now realizing I got to put in the work. So approaching meditation, you got to approach it similar as something that new that you're trying. It's not going to be easy in the beginning because some people have something called everyone has an analytical mind, but some people's analytical mind is a little bit thicker than others. So that's me. Right?
That's me. I'm going to interrupt, and I apologize. And I want you to talk about that example that you had, because as you mentioned, the analytical mind being thicker. I found my first experience with meditation, I was just like, okay, what am I supposed to be thinking about? And the mind goes, pew. And that happens to me with meditation and with prayer. I'll admit it. Yes. Confessions on Wise Lily Rose. But yes, the mind goes into this thing and I start thinking too much and I don't focus on now.
Yes.
The present moment and centering myself. And that really is a challenge, as you said, for people with the analytical mind. And remember, Akil, you spoke about Joe Dispenza and that lady, and she had that similar experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that was really
I saw this on one of Joe Dispenza, who's an author, writes a lot of books about help me out, neurological healing. Neuroplasticity, yes. Healing.
Neuroplasticity, yeah.
Neuroplasticity meditation. And there was this one woman who came on, and she was giving a testimony of how she started with this work of meditating. And she said that, I found it so hard, but I knew that I wanted to heal. So I kept going and I kept trying until I got over this analytical boundary. And the opposite of analytical is intuitive, right? So some people are more feelers. That's why it's easy. They can just dive in. And other people are more thinkers. And the one is not better than the other, but it's just different ways that our brains work. So for those people who say, this is not for me, it's too hard, I can't do it, don't give up. Keep trying. Find the voice that you love. Find like a shorter one, a shorter guided meditation to follow, but realize that all those beautiful benefits that Sue's talked about earlier, that could be yours.
Exactly.
Lowered high blood pressure, lowered inflammation,
cell, brain functionality, all that kind of stuff. That's a good point, Akila. It's I think the simplicity of it, of the concept of meditation, of practicing deep breathing and focus, and I'm simplifying the concept of it, is that I don't think people really realize how powerful it is. If that makes sense.
Yes.
How it can help in so many different areas. I think it's taken for granted. And as I said, it's associated with something, but not associated as a daily practice. And I honestly was on that boat for the longest time. And I was just like, meditation. I was, not so interested. And as I said, being the analytical mind, it was for me when I got more information. And as I said, I gave the pocket-sized version of the information today. Then I was like, logically, the light goes off, ping, and you're like, okay, this makes sense. I understand. Now, Akila, please, before we both forget, tell us about your experience with meditation, like when you first started to get into it, because that was really interesting.
Yes, thank you, Suze. I wanted to share this story because I think I'm more intuitive naturally than I am analytical. So maybe 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, I was just feeling out of sorts. I could tell that I was moody, I was negative. I felt like my mind was focusing on like finding negative stories. And I would notice that and I would think, what's going on? And it just so happened that one of my coworkers, we were talking about it, and he brought up meditation as a means to he was talking about it in terms of figuring out who you are. And then I realized, I actually found this today, that the word meditation actually means to become familiar with, which was incredible. To become familiar with. So you can finish that sentence. And he gave me this book called, wait a second, guys, I wrote this down. The book was called How God Changes Your Brain. So the title really caught my attention. And basically, to summarize the book, I really recommend this book for anyone trying to just be inspired by research. And I think analytical minds, I'm not going to say I don't have an analytical mind. I also need to be convinced in a way, but maybe less than someone else.
Right.
And when I read this book, it's by two researchers from the University of Pennsylvania. And the book is basically describing how believing in God actually helps you get into the meditative space through prayer or meditation or other rituals. And it decreases anger, negative emotions, and makes you a more compassionate, loving person. And they go on to actually show brain scans. So it's not just saying it, it's actually showing you the evidence. And that kind of got me kind of interested in meditation. I downloaded an app. I started doing like 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. But still on and off here and there, not really consistently. And I think the point where I genuinely felt the benefit for myself was when I was diagnosed with leukemia at the end of 2019. And of course, you can imagine it's a huge shock.
Of course, yeah.
And your body goes through fight or flight. The parasympathetic nervous system is, tight. You feel anxious, you feel afraid, you feel scared. That's all part of the human experience. And I couldn't sleep. Sleep. I was in the hospital. I'm in Korea. The doctors don't speak English. I kept thinking, I'm so scared. What's going to happen? And I thought, oh, I have this app. I have this app. I'm going to listen to a sleep meditation. And I remember the meditation guy's name was Matt Young. He's an Australian person. I've never met this guy. And he had this really soothing voice that just made me feel safe, relaxed, and brought me into the present moment. Because what anxiety is thinking about the future.
Exactly.
Or what's the word I want to use? Thinking too much about the past. So going too much about what happened or what will happen. And when you come into the present moment, which meditation gives you that gift, you can then move into your body and help it relax. And so I thought, wow, it really saved me from sleepless nights in the hospital. And that's when I thought, this is amazing. This actually changed my life. So
that's amazing. Mashallah, that's an amazing story. Because imagine I'm putting myself. I'm also a very visual person. So as you're telling the story, I'm seeing. I can't even imagine. But just the concept, you're in a hospital, and that the hospitals in itself are not a place where you can be very comfortable. But in the news and everything happening, so you took this opportunity to use meditation to relax, to center, to ground yourself, to focus. And it helped.
Yes.
Which is the most beautiful thing. It helped you to get the sleep, to get that thing. And this is what we need. Our bodies need. And we're going to talk about sleep in detail too, for sure. Because that's something that people do not, believe in as much. And it sounds, I say this, I'm off topic, on topic. It's funny though, with sleep, and I'm tying this to meditation to a certain extent, that for some reason, sleep kind of is like, yeah, I sleep because my body's exhausted. No, you sleep because you need to sleep, because your body needs to repair, not because I'm totally exhausted. But again, I digress. We'll talk more about that. But with deep breathing, and just this one thing I heard that stuck with me in my process of learning about it, is that when you do, and we might have a chance to do it, we'll see, if like the soft belly breathing.
Oh, I'd love
so the
to
soft belly breathing. Yeah, we can actually talk about it and do it. I'll see if we can actually do a little demo now while we have a chance, but I'll speak about it first. Basically, you're breathing and your stomach expands. And the analogy I use is that you want your stomach to become like a balloon. So when you breathe in through your nose, you take the air in and your stomach expands, and then you deflate the balloon. That's the simplest way of looking at it. And that type of breathing actually is a massage for your heart.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Learned something new.
Wow.
Sharing with everyone. So we can talk, as I said, we have a second, we can talk about it, and maybe both of us can do an example of what soft belly breathing is. Let's do that.
Let's do it, Suze.
Normally, and Akila and I, when we work out with, the people that we work out with, at the end of our workout, normally I try to do 3 breaths of soft belly breathing. And I use the analogy of your smushy, which is your tummy.
Love you, smushy.
I put it out there. It's out there in the stratosphere, but smushy, I'm laughing as I'm saying it. Basically, you want to have your hands on your tummy and just really focus on that, because that's where you want to have the feeling of the inflation of your belly. So what we'll do is we'll just do one example of a breath. So you're going to breathe in through your nose in 4 counts. Okay, nice, and take your time. And then you're going to hold that breath. We're going to try to sustain it for 7 counts. And then we're going to exhale through your nose. Sometimes you do through, but we'll do it through our nose. And we're going to deflate the balloon, AKA exhale in 8 counts, and then just relax. We will try it. All right, ladies, gentlemen, people of the world, let's do this. Okay. So we're sitting up nice and straight, hands on our belly. So we want to breathe in 4 counts. Good. And you're holding the breath in. We're counting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now you want to release, deflate the balloon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then just relax. Now that's a very quick version of it. Again, when we do the guided meditation, you'll be able to hear, and you'll go through the whole thing. But even that concept, if you can just practice that, try it maybe 3 breaths in the day when you're at work or you're at home. If you have a minute, sit down, or if you can lay down, just do some soft belly breathing. 4 counts, breathe in, 7 counts, hold it, 8 counts out. Very easy. It's going to change your life. And it sounds like this, I'm selling you something, but I'm not. I can tell you, and we can tell you from experience, it can change your life.
We're not salespeople. Definitely not salespeople.
Definitely not salespeople.
Sharing what we're learning.
Yeah.
Suze, I think that's so helpful. And even imagining that your belly is a smooshy, I feel like that's so loving, to start loving ourselves. That's also a part of getting to know yourself, or the meaning of the word meditation, become familiar with
yourself. Yeah,
that's nice, just to have that kind of image and give yourself that break wherever you are, wherever you find yourself.
Exactly. And I mean, meditation, for those who are really experienced, as they know, they're doing it several times a day. They might be doing it for extended periods of time.
Yes.
For people who are just new and this is their first time, you might want to try it before you go to bed, for example, or just when you wake up in the morning, just so you can get the pattern and the practice. I think, this is a personal opinion, meditation would be like drinking water.
Yes.
It's like exercising. It's got the same benefits for you in the long run when you think about it. It really does. So if you think about it like, okay, I have to have a drink of water, or I need to do some exercise, I need to go for a walk, and you put meditation in as a practice in the, in your daily routine, you'll see the difference. Right, Akila?
Absolutely, I agree.
Awesome.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, I just wanted to say one more thing before we leave. Sure. I was reading a quote the other day, and it's by this woman called Caroline Leaf. If you want to look her up, she has very valuable information about meditation and how to do it. She said, we can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without oxygen, but you never go even 3 seconds without a thought. So we cannot control the events of our lives. The events of our lives just happen, whether we want them to or not. But we can control how our mind responds to the external world. And so what meditation can give you is a more peaceful response to the chaos of the external world. That's what I see it as.
I like that. I really like that, Akila. I like that. It makes sense. It capsulizes the concept, and it makes a lot of sense. And dealing with chaos, and unfortunately, our worlds are just chaos these days, and we're just trying to keep running from that bear. But you got to put your hand up and say, "Stop, bear."
There's a nice bear. There's a nice cute bear.
There's a nice cute bear. Anyways, you know what? For the books that you mentioned, that Akila mentioned, we'll put them in the link. So if people want to actually refer to that, and we will post our guided meditation very soon after this. You will see us once a month talk about different topics. We might have some guests. It might just be us.
Yay.
Please give your comments and your, feedback.
Questions,
we love it.
feedback,
feedback.
Love. Or hate, whatever you want.
No, we don't want hate. We want love and feedback.
We want love and good feedback. And like and subscribe and help us grow the community we dream of.
Salam alaikum. Peace to everyone. Salam. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye
I'm laughing now. You're going to have to cut this off.
Okay.
This portion.